take a look at the people that caused the economic carnage of 2008, 2009, those people are doing very well today, thank you very much. The top 100 CEOs in Canada today on average are making about $7.9 million a year. Another $500,000 is going towards the defined benefit pension plan. Yet those are the same people that are telling working class people they have to accept less.
C'est la population qui n'est pas syndiquée, qui ne réalise pas que les syndicats font en sorte que leurs conditions d'emploi, même s'ils ne sont pas syndiqués, sont meilleures.
Can we explain the average wage in a society? Can we explain the level of income inequality? And it's very surprising to me, because I come from an economics background, it's union strength, trade union density that tends to explain the average level of income and the overall level of inequality in a society.
Borden, Ontario, a group of members of the United Automobile Workers Union from Windsor and Oshawa pay a visit to the men of the Canadian Army. Trading factory overalls for the black coveralls and berets of the Canadian Armored Corps, the workers see at first hand the use made of the machines they themselves have built. The workers talk to Army men, get taken for a ride over some of the toughest tank proving grounds in the Empire, and generally absorb the Army slant on life and affair. They see demonstrations of the excellent gunnery that is contributing to the winning of the war in France and Italy. The visit gives war workers a chance to live the Army life for a few days, and that includes sampling Army chow. Arranged by the Department of National Defense and the Wartime Information Board, the bugle call replaces the factory whistle for 3 days packed full of interesting experiences. A complete tour of the great training camp gives the workers added incentive to put that last ounce of energy into the production line. Reversing the usual method of artillery support, the guns fire toward the Canadian troops. They must not shoot plus at any time or the shells will fall on our troops attacking the town. Veteran coast defense artillerymen have had years of training in Hellfire's Corner to prepare themselves for the job.
Working class people went off to the battlefields of Europe from North America and of course elsewhere. They came back feeling empowered that they made a sacrifice, and they were not going to sit back now and be mere observers to political and economic phenomena. They demanded to participate. They had made sacrifices, they fought and died and bled, and they came back, and they weren't going to just bow down to what the boss had to say.
The year before the Rand Compromise was reached saw the highest number of days on strike ever in Canada, a number that was never surpassed until the mid-1970s.
One of the big concerns of the workforce was that after World War I, troops had been brought in, particularly in the Winnipeg General Strike. We saw police and troops brought in. We saw the shooting of some workers, and there was very much a fear that this could happen again after World War II, but it didn't. And it didn't because there were a number of mass actions all over the place, certainly in Windsor, where at a certain point they blocked the downtown area around the plant by putting cars in the way, so that, and this was because they thought maybe troops would be brought in and maybe tanks would be brought in.
La décision du juge Rand a renforcé les syndicats en leur permettant de négocier au nom de leurs membres, haussant du même coup le niveau de vie des travailleurs. Le but de l'entente était de créer un mécanisme structuré, démocratique et pacifique pour le règlement des différends.
The RAND formula for us comes in as at the end of World War II, in following the great Windsor Ford strike of 1945. The auto workers go out on strike in 45. There's something like 11,000 auto workers. They're out for 99 days, and the issue is the closed shop. The closed shop demands that Ford recognize that all employees in the bargaining unit must be, as a condition of employment, members of the union, and of course, as members, they'll pay union dues.
La décision RAND est un compromis historique. Elle refuse à la fois l'atelier syndical, où tout le monde est membre et paye, et son contraire, personne ne paye. Elle propose plutôt que les travailleurs votent. Si la majorité vote pour le syndicat, tout le monde doit payer pour le financer.
And the whole fight at Ford was about basic rights. I mean, I think about the struggle for social justice and economic justice. It was about all of that stuff, but it was also about respect. It was about the respect of the workers to have a collective voice, to bargain fair wages and fair benefits. And it took one heck of a fight in order to accomplish that. It was 99 days, if you can imagine, a 99-day fight in Windsor in order to win the RAND formula.
The bottom line was, as was in the Ford case and many other cases, was recognition. And those recognition strikes were very difficult because at the end of the day, it wasn't about money, it was about recognizing that workers would be organized, and employers opposed that.
Rand's perspective on this was that he was looking for some stability in capitalism. There was a lot of violence as workers were trying to form their unions. He was looking at what was going on in the United States, and he was looking for something that was offering some stability. And he argued that to have that kind of stability, you actually had to tell unions that the institution would be protected, that individual members could still not join the union, but they'd have to pay dues because they're getting the service. But the critical thing was he insisted that there be no right to strike during the life of the agreement, and unions had the responsibility to enforce that.
I consider it entirely equitable, then, that all employees should be required to shoulder their portion of the burden of expense for administering the law of their employment, the union contract, that they must take the burden along with the benefit. Justice Rand, January 29, 1946.
Well, the RAND formula, or automatic dues checkoff as we sometimes refer to it, allows the union to have some security. The employer is required to submit union dues to the union at the rate that the union members have decided. The union isn't spending all of their time trying to go around and collect individual dues from individuals. What it is doing is it's concentrating its efforts on providing the best service to those members in terms of grievance handling, in terms of health and safety, in terms of pay equity issues, in terms of other collective bargaining issues, and in terms as well of the social programs that a lot of the unions stand for. What the union got out of this was the ability to actually carry on the work of representing members rather than carry on the work of being a collections agency.
We want to expand the publicly run Canada Pension Plan so that future benefits double.
Unions not only work at the bargaining table, but in the political realm and advocate for improvements for all workers and all Canadians, an activity that the right wing disapproves of strongly.
Donc, peu importe que l'employé signe une carte de membre ou non, l'employeur devait enlever la cotisation. Ça a été aussi loin éventuellement que même les employés aides occasionnels ont tombé sur la formule RAND. Et ça a été important pour nous parce que l'employeur jouait beaucoup avec ça. Et les employés occasionnels gagnaient normalement 2 tiers du salaire minimum d'un travailleur à plein temps. Et quand on les a inclus par le biais de la formule Rennes, on a réussi à négocier qu'ils gagnent le même salaire minimum que les employés à plein temps.
It is a limitation of the RAND formula that you can't strike during the life of a collective agreement. On the one hand, that's a benefit. Hopefully you can get reclassified or get the pay that you should have gotten but didn't. On the other hand, it puts protest into a very individualistic mode. And it never really becomes collective because it's all these different collective agreements.
1998 saw an important legal decision from the Ontario Court of Appeal. In 1986, a community college teacher named Merv Levine, funded by the right-wing National Citizens Coalition, had gone to court asserting that his rights under the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms had been violated. He claimed that his union, the Ontario Public Service Employees Union, a NUPG affiliate, was not entitled to use his dues for non-collective bargaining issues. If successful, this argument would have substantially prevented unions from participating in the political process.
There have been challenges, including the challenge of Levine versus the Ontario Public Service Employees Union, or OPSU. And that was an interesting challenge because he was concerned that the union dues were used for a number of things not directly related to collective bargaining.
And the Supreme Court basically decided in favor of the unions. They said that the union dues cannot be separated between political and collective bargaining because political activities on the part of union are as much about union as collective bargaining is. And so therefore he denied Levine's thing.
Pour être capable d'amener un revenu social, de protéger les programmes sociaux que nous avons, il faut avoir un impact politique. Parce que qui prend les décisions sur ces programmes-là, ce sont les gouvernements.
Workers who negotiate and strike have a big long-term impact on income equality and the creation of a middle class.
The late 1970s was the turning point in union growth and trade union strength, and it was the turning point in inequality as well. We reached the lowest level of income inequality in our modern history in 1977, the same year that the Trudeau wage and price controls came into effect. The governments have basically been working in partnership with business to suppress the right to strike. And from their perspective, a strike is inconvenient. A strike does pose an inconvenience to customers, to other groups in society. That's true. But people fail to recognize the progressive role that strikes have in building the middle class.
Moi, j'étais pas là en 65, mais c'est évident qu'historiquement, 65, ça a été comme l'événement fondateur de notre syndicat. Parce que dans les faits, on était sous un ministère et là, on affirmait clairement qu'on pouvait ou qu'on devait défendre les droits des travailleurs et des travailleuses. Donc, c'est une grève qui a permis la création de notre syndicat et nécessairement de développer une force face au gouvernement pour améliorer les conditions de travail.
Alors, il est venu un moment où on a obtenu, une fois qu'on a eu, après la grève de 1965, on a signé une première convention en 1968 et à partir de là, on a eu le droit d'avoir la cotisation enlevée sur la paie des employés.
In Canada, there was still a lot of militancy through the 70s. And the women's movement was growing. And the Fleck strike was very much a strike about women who were trying to form a union in horrible conditions. I mean, these were rat-infested plants. There was harassment, sexual harassment from management against the women. There were, a small number of toilets. People didn't have, had to wait in line for toilets. It was horrible conditions. And this strike had the largest show of police force in Ontario history at that point. So the Fleck strike was very important, and then it actually led to legislation. They just didn't want to see this kind of thing happening again. So by the early 80s, it took a while, they officially put it into law that the dues checkoff would be there if you had the majority voted for a union.
Au fil des ans, la formule RAND est devenue la norme juridique partout au pays.
Vous savez, au Québec, moins de 1% des conflits se terminent par une grève. Puis ce qui est extrêmement frustrant, c'est lorsque ça arrive, c'est de voir des gouvernements qui viennent s'ingérer. Et là, moi, je vous parle de fonctionnaires fédéraux, mais il faut aussi penser à des sociétés d'État. J'ai vu les gens d'Air Canada, les postiers. Le gouvernement n'aurait absolument pas dû intervenir dans ces conflits-là.
Politicians from all political parties have been involved in legislating back, in some cases at the beginning of the strike.
In fact, they legislated back some Air Canada employees who had only been out 16 hours and actually signed a settlement above what the Harper government directed before the legislation came out from the government.
There's a real right-wing push out there. We have an awful lot of work to do just to maintain what we've built over the years. And if we don't become political, the results will be disastrous.
L'entente RAND interdisait de faire la grève pendant la durée des conventions collectives, mais elle n'est pas respectée. Ces travailleurs-là ne peuvent pas faire la grève après l'échéance de leur contrat non plus.
In terms of the Wagner Act and the RAND formula, I guess what I would emphasize is that people think of the American labor movement as weak and co-opted. But at that moment in the 30s, they were really leading. You know, it was the CIO and the sit-downs that were inspiring Canada. And a lot of the early legislation was much more progressive in the United States through the Roosevelt New Deal and much more conservative in Canada.
Aujourd'hui, les syndicats et la formule RAND sont victimes de l'américanisation du débat politique au détriment de notre culture du compromis et de la prospérité.
Researchers have shown that about 1/3 to 1/5 of the income inequality that they've seen in the United States, which is extreme by Western standards, is attributable to the decline of labor unions. If weak labor unions made a society more industrially dynamic and more socially healthy, the United States would have the most robust middle class in the world and would have the highest levels of human development. And the Scandinavian countries of Europe would have the least competitive industries and the most impoverished middle class and the lowest levels of human development. The opposite is true.
Bon, donc ce qu'ils ont fait, c'est qu'ils ont commencé à ouvrir des usines un peu partout dans le monde pour exploiter davantage les travailleurs et travailleuses. Si c'est pas au Canada, en Amérique du Nord, on le fera ailleurs, pourvu qu'on paie le moins cher possible, pourvu qu'on ne soit pas obligé d'amener des normes de sécurité qui font en sorte qu'on dépense de l'argent pour protéger ces gens-là.
Those who oppose rent formula, those who want to end rent formula, are people who do not like unions. People who think that there should be no union, that the unions have been able to achieve wages and benefits which are atrocious, that everybody should be working for employers that provide very low wages and very few benefits. Yeah.
But I think what's again more dangerous is how there can be reinterpretations of the law, and how there can be hollowing out in other ways. So governments come at this maybe not head on, but in sort of a side door. I always remember when the Grant Devine government came in Saskatchewan, and we had a chair of the Labour Relations Board that was a conservative, and he said, you don't need to change the Trade Union Act, you just have to reinterpret it.
When the Harris government decided to put in a poster in every unionized workplace about how to decertify your union, which they did, big posters, I had the temerity to suggest to the Ministry of Labour that, to be fair, they should put in a poster in the non-unionized places about how to get a union. Well, he didn't have cardiac arrest, thank goodness, but he did go red in the face.
Peut-être que l'aspect que je pense qu'il faut peut-être parler de, tu sais, actuellement, on est dans une phase cruciale au niveau social et politique là, au Canada. Donc, on a vu comment, au niveau de l'Ontario, donc le mouvement ouvrier, entre autres, a mené une lutte, a fait front commun face à Wodak qui voulait effectivement attaquer les droits des travailleurs et des travailleuses.
Well, what clearly changed Tim Hudak's mind was defeat. He ran a whole campaign on the RAND formula. He ran a campaign on turning Ontario into a right-to-work province, a right-to-work-for-less province, I would suggest. And working-class people stopped buying the argument.
Historically, the right-to-work states in the United States were in the South, where the standard of living and benefits was lowest. As more states have adopted the right to work, their standard of living has gone down as the rate of unionization or union density has decreased.
Pierre Poilievre recognizes the power of unions. It recognizes the power of union members, I might say, because it's not the union, because it's the members that make up the union. And I think that him and his party would like to take away that power. I think it scares them. I think that he feels if they took away the RAND formula, that unions would be unable to do the work that they do. What Mr. Poilievre is saying with respect to unions, truly he doesn't understand democracy, because in a union movement, and more specifically ours, our budget is put out in front of the membership, in front of all of the delegates.
Parce que les gens ont quand même voté pour ce gouvernement-là qui disait, bien écoutez, c'est pas du tout démocratique que les travailleurs qui arrivent dans un milieu syndiqué soient obligés de payer une cotisation syndicale. Vous devriez avoir le choix de payer ou non. Et là, on voit que cette recette-là est en train d'être prise par le gouvernement conservateur, qui est un gouvernement d'extrême droite, qui est très stratégique et très riche, qui est capable d'amener une propagande au niveau de la population. Les syndicats sont méchants, les syndicats dépensent votre argent, non pas pour vos conventions collectives, mais pour faire de l'action politique. Ils ont amené le gouvernement conservateur à leur caucus à Calgary, vous le savez. Le projet de loi privé, là, ils testent ça à leur caucus, puis ça a été adopté à 60 %. Un projet de loi pour abolir la formule humaine. Il y a 60 % des députés conservateurs qui ont dit oui, il faut l'amener.
On est un des remparts, et probablement le dernier rempart démocratique qui s'oppose directement au gouvernement Harper. Donc, c'est dans le fond, une lutte entre sur quel genre de société on veut. Est-ce qu'on veut une société dominée par les grandes entreprises et le capital, dans lequel les salaires sont attaqués, les avantages sociaux sont attaqués, les fonds de pension sont attaqués, ou on veut une société à grandeur humaine?
Ce n'est pas parce qu'un syndicat a une certaine sécurité financière qu'il cesse d'être militant.
Donc, il faut que le mouvement ouvrier, là, vraiment, on se mobilise. Si on veut protéger nos acquis, puis si on veut améliorer les conditions de travail de tout le monde, c'est qu'il faut développer actuellement un vaste front uni, une alliance entre tous les groupes sociaux, groupes politiques, pour vraiment pousser de l'avant pour un changement social.
Well, activism is the only thing that really we have, right? Yes, you need the money, and the RAND formula and union security is very important for us to be able to represent our members and carry on the collective bargaining and the political bargaining that we do on behalf of those members. But we need the members.
Unions always need activism. We have to do an outreach to all of our members. Our members need to understand what their union is doing. I mean, certainly, if I'm having money taken off my paycheck as union dues and it's going to my union, I would like to know what my union is doing.
Well, I think, just as workers' activity, rallies and demonstrations and plant occupations is necessary to keep positive legislation, and union activity, community activity is what is key to keeping what is positive in the RAND formula.
Ça fait 60 ans que le Canada a la formule RAND et la sécurité syndicale. La retenue des cotisations syndicales a permis à chaque travailleur d'améliorer son sort individuel, à chaque communauté d'améliorer son sort collectif et à l'ensemble du pays de prospérer et d'arriver à une répartition des richesses plus équitable que dans de nombreux pays. Il ne faut pas tenir ça pour acquis. C'est une question à laquelle tous les travailleurs doivent s'intéresser. Une question qu'il faut défendre dans l'arène politique et sociale. Un avantage qui doit profiter à tout le monde dans un pays vivable où l'avenir nous réserve à tous un meilleur niveau de vie.
Des travailleurs et travailleuses qui ont besoin d'aide, qui forment des organisations non syndicales, mais des organisations qui tentent de traiter comme les associations anti-pauvreté ou d'autres associations comme celle-là. Et je pense que le mouvement syndical a un rôle à appuyer ces organisations-là, à s'assurer que ces gens-là ne se sentent pas seuls, mais qu'ils sentent qu'il y a des bonnes organisations autour qui sont là avec elles. Alors moi, je pense que socialement, on doit être partout. On doit même être en politique.
The vast majority of people who go to work every morning, want to earn a reasonable living for their families, want to come home, enjoy some vacation time, enjoy some time with their families, and enjoy a good retirement.